And so anything we would get from kind of manna from heaven, if you will, in terms of information, would not be tailored to UVAP, and it would not be in any kind of a timely manner. I do want to say, from when Roland said no doubt about it being a duplication, I want to stress that's a potential duplication. If you had the MSRs happening now and you had the water supply analysis happening at the same time, yes, you would have people probably tripping over, each other as they were looking in the same notebooks or in the same files or whatever. The MSRs are not moving forward at this point. We want to have more control over the time frame, and that means doing the water supply analysis. What I think it's going to mean is that the water supply analysis is going to get the information that ultimately somebody can put into the MSRs. But there is not an actual duplication because nobody's doing it right now, and that's why we want to get moving on it. As far as the cost of the study, there are a number of sources for that, and we're certainly going to look at any others that we can come up with. For example, one of the things that happened with the traffic analysis, as you know, is we were able, because we have a staff person who does have expertise in traffic, and I want to be really clear, we don't have staff who are experts in water. That's, there's a limit to how many levels of expertise we can have among, 2 to 3 people in the planning team, and I think we're blessed with what we do have. Water isn't one of the topics. But in any case, we do have the general plan update fees, and that is what pays for a lot of the contracts that we have in the planning team. Another possible source is the redevelopment agency. Another possible source is working with LAFCO and possibly working with the water districts, although I think LAFCO is probably a more fruitful one. What ended up happening with traffic is that MCOG actually funded some of the additional work that was needed because it met their needs as well as our needs, and that was kind of a win-win situation for both. So I think we may well be able to get there with this as well. I think part of this is a cautionary tale. When we put off doing some of the studies or responding to some of the needs that are out there, because the costs are scary, etc. My experience, my short experience here, is it gets back and bites you at some point, because it's something that you absolutely need to move forward something else with something else, and because it wasn't done, you're dead in the water until you can address that need. The other thing in terms of West Yost and their background is we did check with the city of Willits, kind of as a reference check, as well as with some others, and talked to a variety of staff and council people, and they indicated that, yes, there was some controversy that happened in the discussion of some of the outcomes of that study, but the feeling was that the staff were extremely professional and that the information they had provided was of very high quality. So we did check on references, and, as with all water things, there's a political component of it. So I wanted to address some of those concerns. Part of this is we want to control more of the time frame. We want to move this forward. If we simply wait until this information kind of falls in our laps, to me at this point it would be indefinitely putting UVAP on hold. And that simply isn't something that I can at all recommend, nor is it the direction that the board gave to move this forward. So, and there may be more things you want to speak to. Okay, so if we finish this discussion, there'll be a consultant joke at the end, so I just want to...
Okay, there's a response.
Ms. Glassy, I'm not suggesting we wait until it falls in our lap.
Okay.
My suggestion is that we take charge of the MSR process and have the money put towards accomplishing those tasks and using that data. Our timelines have been blown out of the water already, no pun intended. This was supposed to have been done, last year, then this year, now it's next year. So what timelines are we talking about? Pick one, and I'm sure that'll change next week. So my concern here is that we take the bull by the horn and get the MSRs done and use the money appropriately that way. Save the districts from messing around with this thing and not getting those done. And we accomplish the goal. Not wait for it to fall out of the sky like the rain. Let us take a charge of it and get it done.
Yeah.
But get it done in that process. We control the process, the timelines, and we kill the two birds here. That's what I'm suggesting, not sit here and wait. The traffic studies were done by MCOG. For whatever reason, I'm not a traffic expert, we had to reevaluate some of that data. I'm not sure the analogies are the same. We can do this. I just don't want to duplicate the effort. You say it's not duplication because nothing's happening. You're right, nothing's happening. So let's take care of it on the MSR side. Use that data. To me, there's only so much data that's going to be out there. Unless we're going to drill test wells up and down this valley, we're not going to get an adequate groundwater deal done, especially for $24,000. I mean, that's to me is a joke. So let's just get moving on it from that standpoint.
Yeah, and if I could just say, I guess maybe we're talking about the same things, two sides of the same coin. In doing this, it will provide the information for the MSRs. It will move them forward. And if you want to give direction to actually have the MSR documents completed at some point, that certainly can be something that we work on, but that's not directly necessary for UVAP. In the meantime, we'll get the information we need for the EIR, and that same information will be available to move the MSRs along more quickly. And we can sit down with LAFCO and say, hey, we did the work for you, now take it the rest of the way.
Supervisor Prince.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I think a lot's been learned since I imposed Rule 22 about a month ago on this issue. The thing that's clear to me, I understand Supervisor Delesbar's comments about, this water study's been basically driven to keep the UVAP process on track. And what I've come to realize here in researching this whole issue, I think the real benefit of this water study is not only putting the MSR analysis together, which is a big part of this study, but in the supply studies and all the issues around that. But I think the big benefit of this water study will be as it looks like we are moving forward, whether we're talking about securing water out of Lake Sonoma, or if we're talking about the Boy Scout Lake in Willits to increase the water supply there, we're probably going to have to deal with the state on a water rights issue. And the big benefit of this study is it's going to prove that we do have the need. You have to, in order to file a water right, you have to prove the need. And probably that puts this study in a pretty cheap perspective to do that. So and I think where West Yost went wrong in Willits, I followed that real closely. They didn't have anybody at the city that really worked with West Yost and give them clear direction what we're really looking for, and that's why they overlooked the possibilities of the Boy Scouts Lake, maybe other possibilities, I don't know. And when you said that we don't have a water expert, I'm sure, Allison, you were talking about the planning department, and because we do have a water expert here, he's called Roland Sanford, and I have complete confidence that Roland, this complete board has told Roland how important securing more water is in this county, and I'm sure he's on track to do this. And so I don't think he's going to let this West Yost Associates study go astray and make sure that everything's covered. And I hope that that's certainly that Roland believes in that he's going to stay on top of this, because it's got not only the benefit for the UVAP process and the general plan process, but I see the major benefit for securing more water rights and more water rights. That is the true benefit of this study. And it's taken a month, but I'm going to support this at this time just for that sole reason, that I think it's an important element for coming up with more water.
And I would just say Roland is an old best friend for the planning team, so yes.